well to our podcast, another legendary edition of Radio Rocketman. Joining me is the one, the only, George. Welcome.
Hola, senor. Hola.
Hola.
My body is ready. You beautiful little souls blossoming into the everlasting fabric that we call our universe. I thought we were going to start bullshit heavy today.
that was an entrance. That is what I call breaking the door down and making an entrance.
We're ready. We've got loads of news this week. I mean, we normally do. We've got even more this week, so we gotta do this, Luigi, pronto.
We're gonna do it in real time.
In real time on 1.5 speed, Ben Shapiro style.
140 IQ.
A billion Ben Shapiros. We're gonna nuke this fucking place up. And
15 Hiroshima bombs. Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, that's just racist, Luigi. That's just offensive.
No. But I mean, I heard it being used recently. I don't know if that's true or not, but I heard it thrown around recently that like they've already thrown enough bombs on Gaza to be the equivalent of.
I'm not certain about the
Hiroshima bomb.
But I've heard it was more than one. Yeah, I've read about this as well. I mean, as you said, as we've both said, as we've been saying for 3 weeks now, they've been fucking carpet bombing this place up, literally pummeling it. Yeah, we've shown the pictures where before and afters a few episodes ago.
Yeah. That was really mind blowing, and again, some figures. I think something like 30 or 40% of all buildings in Gaza have been destroyed so far.
Half of the dead people are children, obviously, as we said over and over.
And George, I spent my evening yesterday trying to find this figure, and I couldn't for the life of me. I was trying to calculate the combatant versus civilian casualty ratio, and I couldn't find the number anywhere. I found a Guardian article dated November 7th that said dozens of militants have been killed. Now, dozens it can mean 24 to 100 almost. But
I mean, maybe you should cross-check between Israeli numbers of Hamas deaths, because I think they're counting how many Hamas combatants they're taking down, and then check against the full number that the Hamas health authorities give. Yeah, they haven't killed. I think they haven't killed that many. They haven't eliminated that many terrorists since the whole thing has begun.
Yeah. It's not even thousands. Like it might,
but they've killed hundred. Thousands of civilians.
12,000 and counting. Yes. So the ratio would be something ridiculous. I mean,
even Bibi the past few days has started to feel the pressure, which is not good enough. But even Bibi is coming out as like, oh no, we care about civilian casualties, and they've started bombing the south of Gaza. I'm sorry, but I said, and I understand. I was like, they're leaving no way out for these people, and they were like evacuate to the south, and now they've started bombing the south consistently. I mean, they've bombed it. Yeah, there's nowhere to hide.
There's nowhere to hide. There's nowhere to go. There's medicine has run out. It's apocalyptic,
in a tiny little area.
All right, so the UN finally did something.
I wanted to say, the prophetic sages that we are. I think a day after we recorded, or a day or two, they actually passed the fucking resolution, Luigi, in the Security Council. The US abstained. Me too.
Yeah.
The pressure has been strong. I mean, I know. I mean, the Arab nations, they do have money. They don't want this to go on. They've been pressuring a lot of people. I mean, even the protests in places like the UK have really surprised me. Talking about big numbers, Luigi, of people.
By the way, we have to give it like the warning, like the disclaimer that it's just a humanitarian pauses that they've passed.
Urgent extended humanitarian pauses for a sufficient number of days to allow aid access.
By the way, when we say aid access, you have to understand there's no fuel, there's no medicine, and there's no food at this point.
And
they
keep cutting the electricity as well. So
of course, yeah. And I mean, you just try imagining those conditions. It's
So, I mean, the UN, it's inhumane. And the US,
inhumane,
finally,
collective punishment, everything.
Finally stop collective punishment of half the population being underage as well. Which means effectively that they have nothing to do with Hamas, which was elected more than a decade ago. I mean, that was the last time they had elections. So, I mean, what the fuck is this shit?
17 years ago. I think it was 2006.
Something like that. So, I mean, we're talking about what the fuck are we doing, right, people? I mean, and I just wanted to say that you saw the response by Israel. It wasn't great to this. The response rejected the resolution, which is a binding resolution, let me remind you, when it passes the Security Council.
Which means what? Who can enforce it?
Exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, Luigi, exactly. I mean, when we say the Security Council, we're talking about the strongest nations on earth, effectively. So unless they're willing to actually enforce the resolution, it still is not enforced, even though it has passed the Security Council, right?
What does enforcement even look like?
I mean, enforcement looks
sanctions? What is
maybe. I mean, is Jack becoming a little bit stricter than he's been till now?
We're not going to send you 10 billion in aid anymore.
Give me a break, Jack. Give me a break. Come on, Jack.
Come on.
I'm for it. I was always for a two-state solution.
Come on, Jack.
So, I mean, it's important to know. It means something that Jack basically allowed this to go through.
The US president.
Jack. Come on, Jack.
Jack.
Effectively, you have to give it that. He's effectively allowed this to go through the resolution. Now, what they're going to do to enforce it, we'll have to wait and see. Right?
I think it's almost unenforceable because they're not going to sanction Israel, and Israel is not going to do it. So
they can do many things, Luigi, if the United States actually, and the EU, I don't want to let the EU out of this. I mean, as we said, biggest trading partner to Israel, I think, and the biggest aid donor to Palestinians. Yeah. And also a very powerful fucking union that should actually start effectively implementing its own foreign policy. And it's not just based on American stupid shenanigans.
But we finally got some good news in the hostage negotiation.
Yes,
saga.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, tentative, possibly it's going to be reached within a few days. Potential agreement, large-scale release of hostage. Let me remind you, because Bibi doesn't seem to care that much, the Prime Minister of Israel at this point. He seems far more interested in telling people that this is going to be a long war against Hamas. Because as we said, the moment the war ends, he's out, possibly goes to jail. So, you want to keep this going, right? And so not much attention by Bibi is being paid to the actual fucking hostages.
Which, I mean...
Look at this. 239 people are still being held. This should be the number one primary cause for concern of fucking Bibi.
And I read the next sentence as well. Hamas has claimed that as many as 30 hostages have been killed by Israel in bombings of Gaza, but there's no independent verification
obviously. Of this. Yeah, obviously. But I mean, it's tentative. But the Americans, they wanna link the humanitarian post with the hostage release. The Jordanians have been furious. Your favorite, the great Sultan, he's been going fucking off the charts.
The Sultan of the Middle East, Europe, and Greater Asia.
He's been going off the charts, Luigi. They are terrorists. So things are happening.
Erdogan is going to do Erdogan things.
Yeah. So things are happening.
Kingdom.
Pressure is being applied to Israel. Unfortunately, too many people have died already. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in the coming week.
It's a little bit, it's a case of a little bit like too little, too late.
And the whole thing, Luigi, the whole two-state solution. I mean, I've heard people argue for a one-state solution. Whatever is most likely to be achieved in the least amount of time. Don't get hung up on fucking details. And I hate how, and I mean, these are very important details, so you understand what I'm saying. And I hate as well that the way, Western leaders just like, I keep making fun of Jack about this. The whole, I was always for a two-state, so I do something about it, dickhead. Maybe stop Israel from fucking illegally annexing land to this day. Maybe stop that. And then we will see where we go from here. Yeah,
you have to imagine what the long game is here, because like I very much doubt anyone in Israel, especially in the political class, is very much interested in a two-state solution. And what does that even begin to look like?
I mean, as we said, we've got far-right elements up the fucking wazoo in the government at this point. It's like, they keep coming out and being like, we're going to do the second fucking Nakba, the catastrophe that sent almost a million. But I mean, they've got cabinet ministers coming out and bragging about this shit. Even Bibi has to fucking, rein them in and be like, dudes, people are looking at us all over the fucking world. You fucking animals. Fucking restrain yourselves. Yeah.
I think that he was apprehended and told that if he made similar comments, he would be fired.
Naughty far-right boy.
Naughty child. Naughty bad.
Put the bad far-right boy in the corner. Fucking idiots.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. But look, what's the long game here? I honestly
don't know. I don't know for Bibi. Yeah, that's the one we should be focusing on, right? Because as far as I can tell, he's going to be in power for a little while more.
His political career or future is tied to how long this war takes and how brutal it is, essentially. And I don't know, can you absolve yourself? Like, if you have a really high body count on the other side, can you really turn around and say, yeah, I was really effective? Is there any chance you keep power? Most likely
I don't know. Tensions are running very high. And I mean, the situation in the West Bank feels like it's about to explode as well.
Yeah, they're raiding the Israeli Defense Forces, I think, started raiding the West Bank as well, isolated so far.
Yeah.
So raids, but
over here, by the way, Luigi, I've got a little bit of history. I don't think initially, by the way, interestingly, it was France that was allied to Israel for the first 2 decades after independence. And I mean the most allied, because they supplied almost all of their major weapons, as well as building a nuclear plant. Yeah. Look at France, right? Always, I mean, vive la France, as always. But they're always, you will find them there, the fuckers. Even the guy who started the whole the wide replacement theory, I think it was a French writer in a French book. It's always a French fact.
They're coming after us.
So I've got a little bit of history. Carter did a few things that engineered months of negotiations that culminated in the Camp David Accords. You must have heard of those people.
Yeah.
Between Egypt and Israel, laid the ground for the final Israeli-Egyptian peace treaty in 1979. So Israel withdraw from the Sinai Desert. Yeah. I love this one. We know Saint Reagan, as always. Carter's successor, Ronald and the Donald were more interested in telling
Republican rock star.
The former Republican rock
star. I mean, but I mean, he's been worshipped. He's being worshipped right now.
Your parents' age, they used to love that one. Now they love Trump. But before that, it was Ronald. And I mean, remind you of someone more interested in selling guns than brokering peace? Certainly does. And it rhymes. Ronald and the Donald.
Yeah. I see the connection there. Illuminati confirmed.
One of the big events that happened was in 1995 with the assassination of Rabin, the Israeli prime minister who signed the Accords, the Oslo Accords, we're talking about. President Bill Clinton, the Billy boy, arguably came closest when he oversaw a series of talks and agreements that culminated in the 1993 Oslo Peace Accords.
I never had sexual relations with that woman.
That was another thing. Establishing the Palestinian Authority. You're mixing it up, with limited. By the way, his phone number shot up right after that one. It's interesting to know.
Of course. Because why not? We knew you were a slimy fuck, Bill. Now we know. But now we've confirmed it. Yeah.
The reason I thought about it was because the Republicans are thinking of not going after Biden. They're debating whether they should impeach Biden because they don't want to push his poll numbers up. You know, when you get impeached, people get more entrenched. They might dig in,
Of course. And there's zero chance of you actually impeaching the president because
they might impeach the Senate. You. Exactly.
You need 2/3 of the Senate, which is the thing in a split even Senate.
This is semantics, but you get impeached in the House and then indicted in the Senate. So he's never gonna be indicted.
That's exactly what happened to the Donald, and he came out stronger.
Back to back, baby. Back to back.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's just political virtue signaling.
Without the indictment, it means nothing. So let's finish up. Peace accords establishing the Palestinian Authority with limited governance over parts of the occupied territories as a step towards the final deal. But the assassination in 1995 of Rabin, who signed that, has opened the way to the rise to power of Benji Boy, who openly opposed the Palestinian state, and to this day does his best to scupper the fucking peace agreement.
And he's still in power. That's the funniest thing. He's been in power since the 90s.
We've had a lot of
on
them,
and off.
Luigi.
On and off.
But we've had a lot of these people that have been clinging on to power for far too long in Europe as well, and all over the place.
Yeah, I'll agree to that. In general, our politicians these days seem to be of the elder generation. And sad to say that there aren't many great replacements lined up, that are younger.
The only one I have faith in the United States at this moment is AOC.
AOC, Rocketman is pretty decent.
Rocketman is decent. I haven't seen him in a long while now, Luigi.
He's been doing some more press lately. He's been more active. He's been debating Ben Shapiro now.
I haven't seen that.
Not Ben. No. It wasn't Ben. It was someone else. It was Vivek. He debated Vivek.
Wow. I'd be far more interested in seeing that than Ben Shapiro.
The Ramaswamy.
The Pastrami. We discussed the Pastrami.
I'm sorry.
So should we go to...
Yeah, let's move on from Israel.
It's story time, people, and I will take the reins to because they've got elections in the Netherlands.
The Dutch elections.
The Dutch elections. We're going to take us
to a land far, far away, where the grass doth grow.
And the sun doth shine, not really, fuck you. But they've got wonderful tulips. They've got wonderful cheeses. They're very into cheeses, the Dutch. And this is about cheeses as well. And let's do it fast because they've got elections in very soon, few days. And I want to go through this. A looming crisis over pollution led the Dutch government in 2019 now, that was 4 years ago, to crack down on farm emissions. The response was furious. This has been brewing for a while, and I think there's great similarities to the French protest, the Gilets jaunes. You remember when Macron was like, I'm going to tax your fuel more, and the village people got angry.
Yeah. And we like Paris, as we do.
Because they were like, you've already fucked us over for the past couple of decades.
Already squeezed us dry.
Yeah, we're already being squeezed, and right now you're going to tax us more because fuck you, that's why. I mean, the response, and this is a similar sort of situation, and offers a warning to other countries about protecting the environment without losing public trust. And it's very important because when they go far right, they're just gonna burn the environment in the end.
Yeah. We're gonna go back to coal, and good luck with your green revolution.
So exactly. And I mean, Trump is a great advocate of this. Let me go through this quickly. We had an advisory committee chaired by the former deputy prime minister, which declared that the government would need to take drastic measures to reduce emissions of nitrogen, a formidable contributor to pollution of land, seas, and skies worldwide. By far, the largest share of nitrogen deposited on Dutch land comes from agriculture. So these measures would need to evolve. According to the committee's report, buying out and shutting down livestock farms. The report, titled with a very Dutch combination of understatement and candor, not everything is possible, did not make clear whether these buyouts would be voluntary or forced. Farmers assumed the worst. Even now, even from the paragraph that I've read, making clear whether these buyouts are voluntary or forced is very important for the farmers that are affected by this. But anyway, when the report hit, everyone
It was probably ambiguous on purpose.
Yeah, and you shouldn't play with people's lives like this, especially when something as important as the environment is on the line. Agriculture was responsible for 80% of emissions of one form of nitrogen pollution, and the report pointed out that the largest share was coming from dairy farming. But dairy accounted for just 1% of GDP. Maybe the logic when cutting back on production wouldn't be such a great sacrifice for the country. So you can see the thinking process. Because they were like, it's 80% of emissions of this form of pollution that we want to cut, and it's just 1% of GDP, fuck them. We're just going to cut it.
But 1% of GDP can leave you cheeseless and milkless.
And with with a lot of very angry people and with a lot of political parties aiming to foster that discontent. And far-right parties as well. It's a story about, and the story about the political conspiracy of ignoring a problem for fear of antagonizing an important interest group, then fumbling the response when it becomes clear that doing nothing is no longer tenable. And it's important because France, Italy, Germany, and Belgium also have these areas that overlap with intensive livestock farming. This whole thing started with the Supreme Court ruling that in the summer, the Dutch Council of State, the highest administrative court, ruled that the Netherlands' nitrogen permit system was failing to prevent emissions and thus harming these reserves. It needed to end immediately. So that's how they hit the fan. And it's telling you that France, Italy, and the rest of them also are going to have this same problem very soon. And the response, I hope, is going to be better.
Coming soon to a theater near you.
Exactly. And I mean, it's interesting. The whole thing is interesting because, I mean, interestingly, nitrogen on its own is harmless. It's 78% of the Earth's atmosphere. But when it reacts with other elements, it forms unstable compounds. So, I mean, of course, we have burning fossil fuels. But then the other one is fertilizers. But fertilizers help to massively improve grain yields, but crops typically don't absorb all the fertilizer because it's hard to know exactly the right amount to apply. So the excess ammonia runs off into waterways, causing dead zones where fish can't live. And then the third one is even funnier. Got cows. Intensive livestock farming contributes significantly because you count too many cows into a field, they'll eat all the grass before it can grow back. So they put them in barns and feed them concentrated proteins such as soy, which are between 13 to 19% nitrogen. This increases the yield of beef and milk, but again comes with costs. A cow's digestive system didn't evolve to absorb so much nitrogen-containing protein, so the animals excrete a large amount of it. When the animals
the farts come from.
And when the urine combines with the feces, they form ammonia. And as with nitrogen dioxide, ammonia flows into the atmosphere, spreading pollution. It's amazing because everything is connected. Excess of nitrogen in the soil depletes the soil's calcium. Snails can make shells. No snails, which are a crucial form of calcium for birds. And without them, the fledglings, the little birds, try to stand in the nest for the first time. Their legs break. That means they won't grow up to spread fertilizers or seeds, which maintain forests. And then we're all
the chain of life has been broken.
It's the circle of life.
But it's been broken.
It's been broken
by nitrogen.
By excessive industrialization. And I mean, it shows you even the personal stories. You know, these people, they want to retire, but I mean, they want to have an income in 10, 15 years. They can no longer farm. The government has assured them that they're allowed them to have a few chickens or something, but they don't know if that will be the case going forward in 5 years. So, you know, it's a fumble. They fumbled it instead of treating these people with the care required, because these are policies that have to happen in a sense.
Yeah, but there's ways to do this, and there's abrupt, let's really annoy people and make them go out in droves.
Yeah, and I mean, since the 80s, you had the Christian Democratic Appeal Party, which has particular support in the rural areas, and they've always been in the coalition government since the 80s, and they would almost reflexively always be appointed the head of the agriculture ministry, and which was heavily staffed by the sons of farmers. So that despite the commission that was in the 90s, the Christian Democrats successfully kept the issue off the table until shit hit the fan. And I mean, we're talking about the country with the densest livestock population in Europe.
By far, nice.
By far, yeah. So it's bad all around, and it got to the degree, Luigi, where Tiger got involved. Every fucking idiot started. Every fucking idiot started getting involved, and it was like it got to the point where, because it said that housing should continue because there's an insane housing crisis here. And obviously housing also contributes to pollution, but at the very least, you need housing to continue because the housing crisis is intense. The statement seems to have been the basis for the idea, which took off on the greatest of battlegrounds of ideas, that the social media, that the government planned to replace Dutch farms with apartment buildings that would be used to house migrants from Turkey. This annoys the great Sultan greatly.
It does. It does. So it got so bad we had to bring in Aker Carlson.
And it goes on and on. And we had the The government collapsed in July, immigration policy, and they successfully linked immigration policy with this nitrogen dioxide shit, which has nothing to do with immigration policy.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's people being out and protesting stuff. That's
and the government not taking the initiative to treat people with more care and respect about their lives that are gonna they're gonna be abandoned necessarily. So you have to fucking care for them.
Exactly. This is gonna be a problem in as you pointed out, in many European countries, but throughout the world, inevitably, if we're gonna do the green transition,
that's why I wanted to point out this story because it has implications for everybody.
It's a pretty good canary in the proverbial coal mine. What do? You support the agriculture sector, sure, but what does that look like? Subsidies, for example.
Yeah, and you have to convince these people that they will be taken care of, even if their livelihoods are going to be taken from them in the sense of doing what they used to do for their whole lives, because it can't be done anymore in this way.
Yeah.
You can't just abandon them. They're going to vote for fascist people. That's the conclusion.
That's what always happens.
Yeah.
Almost with no exceptions, except for a couple.
As stated here, but turmoil of the kinds in the Netherlands might be avoided if politicians act with more care and empathy. Drastic measures may be needed, but it isn't necessarily helpful to frame them as such, or to place stringent demands on an already struggling rural community. A message
Guardian, as always, with wise reporting.
Guarding us
from the evils of our negligible politicians. Yeah, even the Dutch couldn't get it right. That really doesn't give me confidence about the rest of
Italians.
The world. Yeah, or the Italians.
Oh, I was making carbonara.
You interrupt my carbonara.
To tell me about nitrogen, fuck you. Far right is gaining as well.
Of course the far right is gaining. The far right always gains when things are going to shit.
What a beautiful hairline.
It is. And I mean, he's been described as a Bond villain in the past. And
he looks like one.
Double down on that. It's like, yeah, I came out of a Bond film to screw with your politics.
He's been doing it for a while. We'll see what happens, people. We'll see what happens.
So what's the angle around the election? Is it...
It's going to be complicated. There's too many parties, too many people being involved. The Dutch elections contain far too many parties, Luigi.
The far right.
Spectre is haunting Europe. The spectre of far right degeneracy. So, I mean...
It comes back through the ages.
It's certainly not communist these days. I can fucking assure you that one.
But it always has an authoritarian flavor. But yeah, lately it's been of the right variety, let's call it. The far right variety. In almost every country, except Brazil. Long live Lula.
Luis Inácio Lula da Silva. With that name, you're going to do great things. But I mean, what we were saying, Netherlands, there's going to be an election. By the time the video comes out, probably the election would have taken place or will be taking place. So we'll analyze the results next time.
As we always do.
Yes, good sir.
Of course. And I mean, let's face it, people, where else are you going to get
exactly
Dutch environmental / farmer news?
Yeah. The crisis, what was it? The STIKSTOFCRISIS, or whatever the fuck it was called. They've got a name for it, Luigi.
I'm sure there is. But as far as I understand
there, Luigi. It's a beautiful
STIKSTOFCRISIS.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's a crisis, people. And it's going to be a crisis coming soon to your doorstep, as Luigi. The circus is going to go around.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Macron already got a bruising because of that one.
Macron has some experience with,
but he reigns victorious because the crazy cat lady he often finds himself against in these things just can't pull through.
I'm gonna give it to him. On a European level, he's been a pretty bold, dynamic kind of leader.
I think, Luigi, even the French would admit that on a European-wide basis, he's been pretty good. I think that their problems are more so on the domestic front with Macron. I don't think they've got a problem with his foreign policies or European, which I think are pretty good as well. Un petit Napoleon is Napoleon light.
Yeah, sort of center-right Napoleon and the Goldman Sachs background.
That's an investment bank you can bank on. Should we finish up with
something lighter, much lighter?
E-lon.
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 I don't know how to describe this piece of news.
Did you see the shit he did? Jesus Christ. And he's been flirting with the far right for a long while now. Ever since, at the very least, even before he bought Twitter, but I mean, ever since he bought Twitter, he's gone insane with it. But I mean, the last one, he said something about Soros a few months ago. We didn't cover it, but it certainly caught my attention. But now he tweeted his fervent agreement with a tweet posted by Breaking Bah on Wednesday night, which read Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of dialectical hatred, wonder where fucking Baal and this one, hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them. This is, of course, batshit insane. But the billionaire owner, and then what is that?
CTO, Chief Technology Officer.
Wow.
Like yeah.
Legend of X, not a porn site, formerly known as Twitter, responded, "You have said the actual truth." Is he on fucking pills? He may be. What do you think, Luigi?
There's a good chance he's on pills because, like, what guy his age?
Look at that expression.
He's a workaholic, so he must be on something. Look, I don't know what E-lon is doing on Twitter.
He's got an issue with the anti-defamation. He's got an issue, basically, that organizations like the Anti-Defamation League, Media Matters, they've been reporting that ever since he bought his stupid company for a lot of billions, overpriced, some would say.
For a lot of billions that he's lost since on that bet, yeah.
But ever since he made that bet to save the fucking free speech and the marketplace of ideas, fucking hatred has exploded on his platform because he's reinstated a bunch of fucking hate mongers. Like, I don't know. I think the only one he drew the line on was fucking Alex Jones. Everyone else he's allowed in. He's allowed back in. And the organizations like the Anti-Defamation League and Media Matters have been reporting on this. And as a result of this reporting, Apple, Disney, IBM stop advertising on his platform. And you can see where the hatred is coming from. But what is he doing? E-lon,
the great, all-knower, all-wise, designer of rockets, bringer of Mars.
The emperor of the cosmos. His seed shall travel through the galaxies. I mean, what? And
it shall conquer the universe.
And his rockets, they keep exploding, I hear, all the fucking time. So this is...
Not anymore, but yeah, that was funny when Trump did that, yeah.
Yeah, what do you mean not anymore? His rockets. I think his rocket just exploded.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then the one before as well. He keeps exploding his rockets. Luigi.
And we've covered, the multiple injuries of...
Yes, at his plants.
Yeah, at his plants.
And he's been flirting with the far right. He's been going off a bender, I'm going to say. The great, the one, the E-lon. The richest person on earth, according to fucking Forbes. Which one is it? Which fucking bullshit. Yeah, whatever. The richest person on earth, allegedly.
The richest person on earth by how much his companies are worth on the stock market and what percentage ownership he has. It's basically it. And yeah, he has more.
But Twitter is going down the shitter, right? We have to say
Twitter is not doing that great, and honestly, Twitter has lost almost half of its valuation essentially since Musk bought it.
An excellent performance by the boy genius.
The funniest part is that I've taken a closer look at Tesla lately, and he basically seems to be in a price war with the Chinese. So a lot of Chinese electric car companies appeared into the scene over the last, let's call it, couple of years, and they've been, they have way more competitive prices, and he's been cutting prices left and right, which in turn has really weighed on Tesla's profitability. So
yeah, but I mean, in theory, this helps the consumer. It's a good thing, competition.
Yeah. All I'm saying is that the status of wealthiest on earth might be coming under attack, coming soon
Luigi.
to a theater near you.
We'll
see. We'll see.
We shudder
the Chinese.
Great friend of the show. We shudder at the thought.
No, E-lon, don't become second wealthiest. No,
don't let the French
don't
guy
give it to
beat
Jeff.
you.
It's the French guy. Yeah, it's an Arnaud. What is it?
Arnaud. I make little fashionable bags.
I own fashion.
So we finish up with our favorite guy.
Our friend, main star of the show.
We do it for you, baby.
The man is the personification of
modern political
comedic joy.
He'd be the greatest right-wing stand. I mean, I don't know about that, Luigi. I don't know about that. I think I may have. It's been said before, but Luigi, I think part of the joke is the fact that he was, and he's probably going to be the president of the United States. Without that part, I don't know how powerful his comedy is.
He hasn't, if anything, he's toned it down since 2016.
Has he though?
Yeah, I mean, not after 2020.
They're not.
But,
I think what you're noticing is
during the presidency, at least. Yeah,
they're not covering him that much as they did before. They're not giving him.
And he's not on X either, not a porn site, formerly known as Twitter.
100%. We've said about. I mean, it's a big. I mean, he possibly owns Truth Social, right? So he's gonna stay on that shithole.
Yeah.
Big mistake, Donny.
Trump's exile tower. Truth Social. I'm not speaking to myself. There are many people on Truth Social, thousands and thousands of people. Very few bots, fewer than Twitter. Formerly known as X, definitely a porn site.
It's a porn site, people.
It sounds like a porn site.
When he got on his knees, he begged. He came on a car that can't even drive itself.
Please, Donald. Please do not give me subsidies, Donald. Electric cars need your subsidies, Donald.
He begged for our money, my money, your my money. He begged.
Mostly my money.
Sir, give us your money. I said, fuck you, suck my dick. And then his little wee rocket exploded. And he cried like a baby. True, you say last rally, that was quote-unquote Trump. This is very interesting, the story I've got. Let's finish up on this stupidest of stupid stories. Sometimes a judge, Luigi, just can't be a fucking judge.
What a pose, though. Let's take a second to appreciate this pose.
One of the Colorado judges says Trump engaged in insurrection, but we'll keep him on the fucking ballot. Maybe he'll do it again.
Why not?
I mean, look at that. The face of the American insurrection.
At least he's an honest man. Said no one ever.
Even his greatest enemies. But I mean, look at this shit. Look at this Colorado judge allowed Trump. And I mean, part of the multiple, endless fucking court cases he's dealing with, some of them have been filed by people, a group of Colorado voters, to disqualify Trump under an amendment to the US Constitution. It's in the fucking Constitution that bars officials who have engaged in insurrection from holding federal office. Seems like a clear-cut one, right? I've seen that mentioned a lot. I mean, you engaged in insurrection, you're not going to hold office. Sorry.
No, we put it to the Constitution. So somebody looks
it's
at it.
It's important, right?
But I mean, we don't really use it, so...
What the fuck, right? Exactly. I mean, who gives a shit if it's rarely used at this point? How many have engaged in insurrection? I mean, what the fuck? And the
And
judge
that
said
is the point. Yeah.
the funniest shit is that he did find that Trump engaged in insurrection, but he was not an officer of the United States that could be disqualified under the amendment. I don't even want to know what exactly this fucking shit exactly
It sounds
means.
like the sleaziest of legal interpretations
This is
if I ever seen it.
unbearable. Yeah, it's unbearable. It's ridiculous. I mean, and he concluded that his words and contacts were a substantial contributing factor. She found that Trump engaged in insurrection through incitement, but she allows him to stay on the ballot. And I mean, this doesn't seem good for the rest of these cases, because this was brought up in Colorado, and it was going to apply to Colorado.
Mm-hmm. And so,
and
the president.
Exactly. And there's a bunch of lawsuits all over. Minnesota, Michigan have already rejected efforts to keep him off the Republican primary, but have not ruled on his eligibility for the November 2024 general election. So it seems it's not happening. This route to keep this hell demon out of our elections. Nothing can stop him.
I'm curious whether this judge was like, I don't know, Trump appointed, Republican leaning.
I'll look into it and let you know.
Judge Sarah Wallace. Let me check it out.
Check it if you want. But regardless of that, it's I mean, if it's Trump appointed, it's gonna be even worse.
A Democrat appointee.
See, even worse, man. Wow. Even worse. And I don't even want to go. I'm sure she has found a way to justify this, but it doesn't pass the smell test, dude.
It really doesn't. And look, I kind of understand it in the sense that if you bar him from, running, that's
easiest way to stop a catastrophe.
I don't know how well the political climate goes, because
I mean, Fox News is going to go insane, and every other right winger everywhere. I'm sure it's not going to be. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty. And they might get elected next time with another guy who just rides on the wave of discontent because of what they did to Trump. I see that as a possibility. Civil war? I don't know.
No, not a civil war, but like rising domestic political instability.
Definitely.
A description.
Definitely. But I mean, he did engage. I mean, the thing though is, I mean, you gotta work on the truth. So I mean, whoever dealt it smelt it, or whatever. However, the great saying goes.
I find it amazing how somehow something can be clearly stated in the Constitution, and all of these people that sort of worship the Constitution,
it's funny,
can look at that and say, nah. I'm gonna interpret it in a way that says that doesn't count.
As we often say lately, I mean, it's a surreal sort of situation. The world is becoming more surreal by the day, and I mean, we watched. I mean, we literally watched on 6th of January. I remember watching it live as they stormed the fucking Capitol. And at this point, every Republican thinks it was just a bunch of tourists. What about the goat-headed man? What about the guy smashing windows? What the fuck? I mean,
is he allowed to run?
I don't know. I don't know what's happening with it. I think he's in jail. And he's a vegan.
He's a vegan in jail.
Chris Christie hates this guy.
Yeah. The antithesis of Chris Christie.
You know what we do to guys like you in Jersey?
We feed them vegan shit.
Until their stomach goes poop. You can't take that many mushrooms.
How much broccoli you think you can take?
I once ate the whole tree, bitch. Let's stop fat shaming. Let's stop doing it. We have to. Let's wait until the next debate. Is he gonna be in the next debate? Fuck knows. Who cares? Nobody.
Nobody cares.
But if he's there, we'll do it. We'll keep on it. Keep pounding on at Chris. Because as you so eloquently put it, his policies are worth shit anyway.
That sounds like an accurate description of his policies.
And the rest of the great Republican policies. Fucking Democrats. They can get away with anything, motherfuckers.
It's really funny because Republican debates at this point have devolved into shouting matches with Trump not even being there.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna deport every hummus supporter on this planet, but to the Ice Age. My dude. There's barely any Gaza left, my dude. Fucking. And I mean, I've seen people say, how could it be worse? I mean, as I said, it's always bad for the Palestinians, whichever fucking president is elected in the United States. But I still think Trump would be worse. Or any.
I agree.
I mean, you've seen what they say, right? I mean,
and you saw what he did while he was president. He recognized.
He lit the fire, basically.
He was best friends with Bibi. So yeah,
best of friendo.
But yeah, that would be an ally he could use. Talking about Bibi right now.
I'm sure he's salivating at the possibility.
For sure. If he's there by that time.
Nobody knows. Who knows?
1 year is a long time in politics.
What was the great quote? The great quote by the radical Marxist. What was the quote? Sometimes
decades.
Some decades nothing happens, and some weeks decades happen. He was a Marxist. A pervert. Definitely a pervert. Let's finish up, Luigi.
Yeah, let's finish up with
a beautiful thank you to our listeners.
Yeah. If you made it till the end.
Kisses, love, respect. Is that the
joy, right peace.
Live, eat, shit, die.
Explore.
Explore, obviously. The possibilities are endless.
Wow. Colonize. Mars.
Don't colonize people, Jesus Christ. What do you think we're doing this show for, Luigi? Luigi goes far right in the next episode. There's too much money to be made. And I mean, this battle will be fought. I don't know if it will be won, but it will be fought. We ain't gonna fucking let fascists do fascist shit. No, enough is enough. As a great man once said, enough is enough.
Is enough.
Yes.
The more times you repeat it, the stronger it becomes.
Exactly.